What is up, everybody? Matt Moda here, and what we're going to do in this video is I'm giving you my favorite upset predictions, my favorite underdog picks to win straight up for the NFL Week 1 betting slate. So diving in specifically to the NFL betting market for Week 1 and trying to find teams that are not favored that I think are going to win straight up. Now, Week 1 is always one of the weirdest weeks of the NFL season because we don't really know what to expect from these teams yet. So there are teams that end up being really good that aren't projected to be with the opposite. Now, I looked through the slate and I could only find two that I was confident enough to put my name in that I'm confident are going to win straight up. So, two underdog predictions for you guys. Both of them obviously are plus money, so anything where like a pick 'em or anything doesn't count. They need to be plus money underdogs. Last year, as you can see on the screen here, did not go well with my underdog predictions. I will admit it was a little bit of a rougher season as we were down on our underdog picks. I think last year, if I were to analyze that and look at that a little bit, I think I tried to force plays. Some weeks I would have 3-4 underdog picks where I only might have been confident in one or two. So for this year, I'm going to try to be more selective with my underdog predictions, which means that, yeah, weeks like week 1, I'm only going to have two, but I would rather do that than try to force picks just for the sake of making a longer video and having content. So hopefully things go better this year with our underdog predictions. And we can just get right into it. Again, I'm going to have two for you guys to lock in. Number one, I'm taking the Cowboys money line plus 105 odds at DraftKings. The Cowboys are playing the Browns. And really, what it comes down to is I'm just not a believer in this Browns team. Now, I do think that the Cowboys, I don't think that they're going to be as good in the regular season as they've been the past couple years, but I do think that they are undervalued specifically for week 1. And this is more of a fade of the Browns than anything. I am just completely out on this Browns team. Now, I am recording this before we have resolution to CeeDee Lamb's contract dispute. So hopefully, I mean, I know he's holding out, but I'm assuming he's going to play week 1 is what it comes down to. I'm assuming CeeDee Lamb is playing week 1, and if he isn't, then that's going to be rough, but I think he's going to be there. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But looking at the Browns, I mean, I don't know if it's just not talked about enough from what I see, but I think it's really, really easy to forget how bad Deshaun Watson was last year and how bad Deshaun Watson has been since he came back from his suspension for being a terrible human being. And last year, the Browns season didn't get rolling until Watson was hurt for the year and Joe Flacco came off the street. They were much, much better once Joe Flacco came in. And I mean, it's been 4 years since we've seen Deshaun Watson play good football. I mean, he's been just an absolute disaster for the Browns. He's not been below average. He's been a disaster. Now, the talent around Deshaun Watson is great. I love their skill positions, even though Nick Chubb is hurt. I think they have a fine backup in Jerome Ford. Their offensive line is phenomenal. Amari Cooper, David Njoku, good receivers. It doesn't matter if their quarterback stinks, which I think is the case here, and that has been the case for 2 straight years. PFF has his passing grade at 58.7 over the past 2 years. And to put that into context for you, that ranks 53rd of all quarterbacks that have enough pass attempts to qualify. So basically, another way to phrase that is PFF ranks Deshaun Watson the 53rd quarterback in the NFL over the past 2 years. To put that into context for you, there are only 32 teams in the NFL. So he's almost been worse than a standard second string quarterback over the past 2 years. If you look at last season specifically, I'm looking at quarterbacks that threw 50 or more attempts because, I mean, he was hurt most of the year, so he has a small sample size. But of all quarterbacks that threw 50 more attempts, Deshaun Watson ranked 34th in quarterback rating. Again, there are only 32 teams in the NFL. You want to know guys that were ahead of Deshaun Watson in terms of QB rating? This is according to DVOA, by the way, their QB rating. Easton Stick, Andy Dalton, Tommy DeVito, Jarrett Stidham, Nick Mullins were all better quarterbacks than Deshaun Watson, according to DVOA last year. Joe Flacco, to also put this into context for you, was 21st. So yeah, he's been terrible. And I get that, yeah, at some point, Deshaun Watson was an elite quarterback. That's been 4 years ago at this point, and I just don't think that we're going to see that come back for him. And the Browns, so last year they had the second best defense in the NFL according to DVOA. Awesome defense. And their defense projects to be good once again this year. They didn't lose any major pieces, and they kept their defensive coordinator. But defense is very rarely a sticky stat year over year. It's not like offense, meaning if you look at the top 5 defenses this year, the top 5 defenses last year, the guess here is that 4 of those 5 will not be a top 5 defense this year. And it happens year over year. You look at the top 5 defenses from 23, only 1 of them were a top 5 defense in 22. Now that, funny enough, was the Cowboys, the team that the Browns are playing, the team that I'm betting to win. The Cowboys have been top 5 each of the past 2 years, but I'm going to get into them in a little bit. Every other team that was in the top 5 in defensive DVOA in 23, Ravens, Browns, Jets, 49ers, they were all outside the top 5 last year. So, well, yeah, I'm not saying the Browns are going to have a below average defense. I don't think they're going to drop to 20th, but going from 2nd to 7th, 2nd to 8th, that's a pretty big deal. Now, looking at the Cowboys, I mean, their offense has been great under Mike McCarthy in the regular season. For 3 years now. They have some tough performances against good defense, which the Browns are, but I do think that their offense is going to be fine. Good offensive line, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, their running game, who knows what that's going to be like with Ezekiel Elliott, but I don't think the offense for the Cowboys I'm not worried about. And their defense, while their defense did lose Dan Quinn, he was their defensive coordinator the past couple years when they were a top 5 unit, they replaced him with another crotchety old man, Mike Zimmer, who's not necessarily built to be a head coach, but I do think is going to be able to coach up a good defense and has shown the ability to coach up a good defense in his career. Now, the Cowboys defense, if they drop out of the top 5, they were 5th last year. So going from 5th to 7th, 5th to 6th, whatever it may be, it's not going to be as dramatic and as big of a change as the Browns if they go from 2nd to 7th, 2nd to 6th, 2nd to 8th, like I'm projecting. And the issue with the Cowboys defense, they're a front-running team. When they're playing bad offenses, they can annihilate those bad offenses. I mean, they just absolutely crush any team that doesn't have an above average offense. I don't think the Browns are going to have an above average offense for everything I said about Deshaun Watson. Against good offenses, yeah, they got smoked. They got smoked by Seattle, smoked by San Francisco. In the playoffs, they got smoked by Green Bay. But against bad offenses, I mean, they torched the Eagles during the Eagles-Colts spell. They torched the Jets. They torched all these, the Panthers, all these terrible offenses, Commanders twice. And that's what I expect from the Browns. I expect them to have a below average offense. I don't think they're really going to be able to do a ton with their quarterback situation against this Cowboys defense. And it's a very opportunistic Cowboys defense as well. So I think their offense is going to be able to do enough to get the job done. And this is more of a fade of the Browns, and it's more specifically a fade of the Browns offense. That's underdog play number 1. Underdog play number 2, I'm taking the Packers money line plus 114 odds, also at DraftKings. They are playing the Eagles in week 1. Now, I did not start my underdog betting process thinking that I was going to take the Cowboys to win and the Eagles to lose. As an Eagles fan, this pains me deeply. This is just kind of what I think. Now, maybe I know these teams more intimately. I mean, not maybe. I know these teams, especially the Eagles, more intimately than I know most other teams. So maybe it's just a little bit of a bias because of that. But for this play, for the Eagles one, this is not me thinking that I want to fade the Eagles or that I think the Eagles are going to be terrible. It's kind of the opposite of the Browns pick. This is me really, really wanting to back the Packers. And I think the Packers are going to be really good this year. To give you a sneak preview, they are my prediction to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. That's how good I think the Packers are going to be. And from the Eagles perspective, I have no idea. Legitimately, no idea what to expect from the Eagles this year. And I'm as deeply invested as a human being can be into the Eagles. I followed every single update. I could tell you more about the Eagles than I could my own family members. I have no idea what to expect from them. They are definitely one of the most talented teams in the NFL. I'm definitely not doubting that. But they're one of the most talented teams in the NFL when they collapsed after starting 10-1 last year. Now, they replaced both coordinators, but they lose Jason Kelsey. Nick Sirianni, still head coach, who oversaw that collapse last year. Their ceiling, they could be the best team in the NFL, like they were 2 years ago when they started, or last year when they started 10-1, even though it was a little bit of a fluky 10-1, whatever. They could also be one of the worst teams in the NFL, like we saw them to end the year last year. I have no idea what to expect from them, but I am very confident that the Packers are going to be an elite to very good team this year. And that's what I am betting on here, is that my prediction on the Packers is correct. Looking at how they ended last year, I mean, they're going to be a popular pick as a sleeper Super Bowl contender, I would guess. But they ended last year on a 7-3 run. They won 7 out of their last 10 games. And then in the playoffs, who could forget them taking an absolute blowtorch to the Cowboys in the wild card round? I mean, I think they were up 28-0 at halftime. It was one of the most fun I've ever had watching a football game. It was amazing. And then you can make the argument that the next week when they lost in the divisional round to the 49ers, you can make the argument that they should have actually won that game. They dropped 2 very, very easy interceptions thrown from Brock Purdy, and they kind of outplayed the 49ers in that game. So they lost, whatever, doesn't matter. Looking into this year, one could also make a reasonable argument that Jordan Love was one of the best, if not the best, quarterback to end the season last year. Overall, the Packers ended the year with the 6th best offense in the NFL, according to DVOA, with the 4th best passing offense specifically, again, according to DVOA. And you look at PFF, they gave Jordan Love an elite grade of a 90.4 passer grade, which is an elite number, saved for the best quarterbacks in the NFL have a number above 90. And they also marked him with 27 throws that were considered big-time throws to only 10 turnover-worthy plays. Now, a little bit of subjective numbers there, but all the metrics tell you that the Packers offense was good last year and that they got better as the season goes on. Now, another year of 1 year of experience under Jordan Love's belt, you expect him to take a step forward. And looking at their skill positions, now the receivers at this moment in time lack in alpha, but I do think that they have a lot of talent, that one of these guys can end up becoming that alpha receiver. Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, all had good ratings according to PFF. And Christian Watson, his issue is being able to stay healthy. And then Wicks and Reed were both rookies last year. So who's to say that they don't take a step forward? The biggest issue with the Packers last year, they were inconsistent on offense until the end of the year when they were phenomenal. Their biggest issue was defense. They had the 27th ranked defense according to DVOA in the NFL. They fired their defensive coordinator and they replaced him with who was the Boston College head coach last year. I'm not going to pretend I'm dialed in on the Boston College news, football news, anything like that. People said that it was a good hire. They respected him as a coach. The media members said it was a good hire. He was well thought of. And he took Boston College to a bowl game in 3 of the last 4 years. So he's at least a good coach in college. We have no idea how he's going to adjust to the NFL. We do know that it's hard to be worse than the 27th ranked defense that they were last year. Only 5 teams were worse than them. I'm guessing that they're going to be a little bit better than that this year. And I really think that their offense is going to take a major step forward. So yeah, I'm very, very high on the Packers last year. And if you guys believe in voodoo magic, the last time the Packers won the Super Bowl was in 2010. Their season opener was against the Eagles. If history repeats itself, they're going to win the Super Bowl again, and I'm going to look like a genius for this prediction. But that's all we got. 2 moneyline underdog bets for you guys to lock in for week 1. The beauty of these plus money odds plays is we just need one of them to cash, and we will have a profitable day for week 1. Granted, slightly profitable, but hey, green is still green. And that's all we got. I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're still here, the last thing that I'll mention is I do have a Dub Club where I send all of my plays out for $5 a month. It gets sent directly to your phone, text, email, or Telegram. Everything that I play, the first thing I do is send it out to Dub Club, and then I'll post it on YouTube and on Twitter and stuff like that. So Dub Club gets everything early. If you're interested in that, check that out in the link in the description of the video, as well as a pinned comment. And that's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.